Right, hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. So today we're just looking at the fact that actually today it's 55 working days until the 5th of December deadline, and we're just going to have a quick look at how you can make some of those days count with ESOS Auditor. So first, just a brief introduction to IES. We've been around for just over 20 years now. We're founded and headquartered in Glasgow. We're pioneers in building simulation, and we've got a global presence with our virtual environment technology. We've been looking at how that technology can be at the core of solutions which we offer across the whole life cycle of a building, from master planning of groups of buildings through to design and operation and control and community schemes and things like that. We've got software in about 140 countries, and this solution with ESOS Auditor sits alongside the virtual environment solutions that we have. So as I mentioned earlier, there's 55 working days now until the 5th of December. We have had communication with the Environment Agency on some of the rumours and conversations that are going around at the moment. They have confirmed to us that the deadline won't move because it's linked to various legislation, European and UK, but they are going to offer some official guidance on enforcement and penalties towards the end of this month, beginning of next month, so basically any time now. And it is looking likely that there's going to be some kind of leniency around what those will be, but obviously we need to see what they actually release on that before we can take any of that as fact. So our basic stance is at the moment that obviously if you've done something before that deadline, and the further you've got along before the deadline, that's going to be looked upon more favourably, even if you know that you're not going to be able to hit compliance by the 5th. So really I think for us it's also about saying don't miss out on the benefits of ESOS. It is still an opportunity to win things, make sure that you make it count, make sure that you see some of those improvements giving you benefits, financial benefits. And I'm just going to give a little example that I saw on the ESOS Information Hub, which I thought was quite a nice way of illustrating the point. Now, I mean, obviously we all know that some of these figures are going to vary per organisation, but I think it was more the point which this little example gets across, that if you implement ESOS in the spirit of the legislation and take action on the savings opportunities identified, then businesses can stand to gain. So, they just took the figures that DEC had circulated around the average cost per enterprise of an ESOS assessment being around 17k, and potential cost savings being more than 13.5 times that cost. So if you do a quick sum and extrapolate that, then that seems to suggest that they think that the average audit could identify savings in the region of around £230,000 per business. So, you could make that statement then, well, if you act on all your ESOS audit recommendations, you could win almost 5 times the amount that potential non-compliance penalty is. So coming on to ESOS Auditor and, how can you make these last 55 days count? ESOS Auditors, it's a low-cost online solution-based, cloud-based solution. It enables you to gather all the required data in one place in a time-effective way, work with teams, upload your data in bulk, split the responsibility across different people within the organisation and with your lead assessor. And I think sort of importantly for where we are now, you can actually easily understand and demonstrate just how far along in the process you are, so that if you haven't quite completed by the 5th of December, you've got something that you can demonstrate at that point. It is an off-the-shelf solution, so in many ways we've done a lot of the hard work for you. We developed ESOS Auditor in conjunction with the Energy Managers Association. It was launched in October last year. It was reviewed by Kit Young, who is the technical author of the ESOS PAS standard. So really we feel that we've done our due diligence to ensure that you can feel secure in that if you've gone through and completed all of the sections of ESOS Auditor, that you are going to be a long way along to being compliant. You're reducing the risk of errors, and it also produces a compliant report at the end of all of that. And also importantly, it is a secure system to keep your data secure. Going just over some of the features that we have which enable you to manage a team more effectively. Like I mentioned, it does give you a clear overview of progress. You can see what gaps are missing and see that by user. So if you need to chase people up to input data, you can do that. You can use it across multiple sites and multiple users. You can allocate clear areas of responsibility to different users, you know, down to the granularity of if it's, you know, you've got your parent organisation and sub-organisation below that, you can restrict people just to specific sub-organisations if you want. And, you know, it makes it easy for the lead assessor to come in and check and verify all of the data that's been collected and, you know, lay the groundwork for then going and doing the audits and then adding the information, you know, from the audits on the identified energy saving measures and making sure that all of that, the data around the audits is stored in a manner which is, you know, in line with ESOS regulations. And one of the things in June that we got agreed was that ESOS Auditor would be accepted as part of your evidence pack, which is one of the requirements of ESOS. So if you are chosen to be audited by your regulator, for example, the Environment Agency, then they would, you could contact us and we would add your regulator contact for free to the system, and they could just go in and, you know, look at all of the data that you've got there, and that would be accepted as part of your evidence pack. ESOS Audit actually allows you to build and store the vast majority of everything that you need in your evidence pack, and it also allows you to upload and link supporting evidence to your data calculations. So for people who are unaware of evidence pack and the requirements, it is your record of all the steps you've taken to comply with ESOS. It's what you need to keep in the background. You don't need to submit it for compliance, but you need to keep it there just in case you're called for audit. It needs to be kept for that up to that 12-year period. So this compliance period and the three following, so up to 4 compliance periods. And it needs to include this kind of information on your total energy consumption calculation, the areas you've identified as your significant areas, i.e. your 90%, the details of the energy audits and routes to compliance that you've used, along with all the associated evidence and all the details of your energy saving opportunities. And at this point, I'm going to hand you over to Phil Cully, who is with me today, and he's our support manager, and he's going to go and give you a bit of a live demo of ESOS Auditor.
Thank you. Okay, what I'll do now, I'll just close down the presentation here and I'll connect to the ESOS Auditor website. Okay, so we should be able to see that now. So this is the home page on the tool that we've created, and the first thing I wanted to show today, because the theme and what's on our mind now is that time is beginning to run out on this, is how quickly we can add a project and how quickly you can get up and running. So what I've done here, I've simulated the point where you would have purchased the project and we've added it to the system for you. Now we can do that the same day that purchase is made. We can do this very quickly, give you access to the project immediately, and then you can get started and add on your team. So what you would see when the project was first added would look like this. So on this account I've got a few different projects, but the brand new project that we've created is this one. So it's got very, very limited default data at the moment. You'll see a few address details. And when we switch in, this is the first screen that you would see. So the project's ready to go at this point, but it won't have any data on it. So the first thing you'd want to do as the administrator, as the person who are setting up the project, you'd want to enter all the admin, the address details, the organisation name. So these can be entered on this screen here. Address details, responsible directors for the project. So this will be the final sign-off. So this is the parent company on this screen. Come out of here. You can add the subsidiaries. So again, the planning at the initial stage to set up any parent and subsidiary companies or office breakdown or anything that you want to break out for structuring the data when you're entering it and checking it. And then from there, the next thing we want to do is add the other team members. And it's as simple as sending the invite out. So you don't need, all of this administration access is provided with each project. So you don't need any input from IES. You don't need to wait for us to do anything. As soon as we add that project for you, it's in your own hands. You invite people by email address. You can invite anyone you want onto your project. So it can be part of the team, part of the company that's doing the audit, anyone that's assisting by email. And again, the different levels of access that we spoke about recently. You can have people who have got access to input data. So that would be data managers. You can put on account administrators, so more people to handle the setting up the company, the details, the address details, the subsidiaries, data checkers and ESOS reporters, which would be the lead assessors or the people who are responsible for the final sign-off, the energy savings opportunities and doing QA on your project. So that's all the admin that's really required. Everything else is done at that point and you're ready to go. And you're ready for the team to start entering the energy data. The other thing you'll note by default is we don't have all the options here. You can edit your own settings as well. If you're brave enough to take it all on yourself and you want to do the full project, then you can easily just give yourself all of these access levels. So if you switch everything on for yourself, add that as a role. And then you should see the additional options. These are all the options. So if you want, if you're a lone person working on the project, you can have access to every level. So that's as easy as it is to set up a project. It really can be done in no time at all. The hard part's collecting the data, but if that data's there and it's ready, then it's ready to be entered into the system, and the system will structure it and it will put the reports out at the other end. It can be very, very easy in that way. The other thing we wanted to show just now is you don't need to be working on a single project at a time. We will easily support multiple projects, so especially for the lead assessors, this one's a great option, and it's just as simple as switching organisation. You'll see in my account I've actually got 4 projects on here, and I can come in and out of each project, and it's got different roles if necessary, different options, different data, completely different companies. If I switch out of this one into this one, we would see you can even have different people in different projects. So it can be different email addresses, different companies, different lead assessors if necessary. Anything can be flexible in that way. So it is as simple as that. And I think if you're juggling multiple projects, this keeps you quite organised, and it's a nice easy way to switch in between them and just check, even checking on progress. So it's a consistent interface. Everything will look the same in each one, and it's a nice easy workflow to follow. If we come back into this account here, one of the real benefits that we've got from the system we've implemented is progress checking. So it keeps us right as we work through different projects, and it shows for the people entering the data, we actually see how much we've entered for each level. So on this project we've got a little bit of a breakdown. We've got a few different offices on here. So we've got Edinburgh and Glasgow split out, and we can see for Glasgow the data entry team. So you might assign someone who's responsible for just the Glasgow part, and they would log in. They would only see this section, and they can see how much still needs to be done. We give progress across your reference year. So whatever reference period has been defined, the progress is based on that, and it will show how much data you've entered and how much has been QA'd. So there's QA tools built into the ESOS Auditor. That everything gets signed off before before it'll appear in any reports. It has to be approved, and that can be by anyone that you denote as being a responsible person, but we would usually recommend the lead assessor. So if someone else has collected the data or entered it, they can make sure that it's gone onto the system, and it's an additional check that we're given, an additional QA feature, so that you can be confident that your data is complete by the end. If we check this one, excuse me, we can see that there's two buildings split out for Glasgow here, and if we check the supply settings for these, we can see this one's for the north, it's a cold store. The one below, it's the south office, it's business units. And then by looking at the energy consumptions, and this is where our meters have been entered and our energy consumptions have been entered. So we can see that one of these has been passed back by the auditor and the other's marked as pending, so it's not yet checked. So these ones are marked as orange, and everyone in the team from start to finish knows exactly what status we're at and where we are using this system. You'll hopefully have some extra communication out with the system, but it means that anyone on the project can easily come in and see, and by filtering through your different levels, they can see where the project's at. And you'll see that at all levels. So data check again is for the auditor. If we come in and see the energy usages in this one, you can see that Glasgow office has actually been entered and it's been marked as in progress or passed. And we see that in these coloured tools here. And again, the progress bar tells us how far through this part of the project we are. If we come back out, and we can see for Edinburgh, there's still something to be checked here, so it's a new item. So if we come into here, and it's marked for us which one we need to check, so it's marked as new. And if the auditor likes, they can download the evidence pack, they can see the readings that have been entered, cross-check that against whatever data has been collected, and if we're happy, we mark it as passed, and it'll update the system, and we can carry on. So it's a very easy, very simple workflow. Similarly for transports, it's as easy as coming in, we can see what needs to be done, do it quickly, and that can be anyone that you've assigned. So this is an additional QA. It doesn't necessarily need to be your lead assessor, but someone in the organisation that's double checking and making sure that we've got everything correct. The dashboards continue right through, so hopefully someone on the project, and this might be the bosses, the directors, and also the lead assessor can have this kind of access to the reporting. And here we can actually see, again, a nice coloured, how far is the progress. And this is an overview, and you can filter that out by whatever level you're at. And again, we've got date ranges on here as well. So if you're interested in, you would generally go for the full reference year. That would be my expectation. But if there's certain, if it's broken down into chunks of time, then you can easily do that as well using these date ranges. Pop it back to the top level. So very, very quick and easy for checking on progress. And that in some ways comes back to what we're looking at for projects that aren't 100% complete towards the end. When the panic sets in, or when you get more people involved in the project, you can add them easily in. And these kind of progress bars are showing us exactly where the work's needed, which offices in this case, what subsidiaries. And for a well-structured project, you'll definitely get the benefit from that. And of course, the final thing that you would get out of it would be your ESOS report when everything's been added. So the reports are the final. They don't show you progress as such, but they will mark how much progress percentage-wise has been entered, or how much of the project's completed. But really, the tools that we've provided out with the report, we want to give more than just a compliance report, and that's where the additional tools that we've got in the system are. The other area, the project that ESOS Auditor gives you a lot of access, would be the ease of editing. So we saw before, in terms of the project setup, how easily it is to fix, to enter your address details or the director details. That ripples all the way through the system that we have. The software will let you make changes at any data that's been entered. There's nothing that's locked down. So everything that you put in can be modified if there's a mistake that's flagged up, if one of the QA fails. So come back to our energy data input, for example, and you see that everything has an edit option. And everything's editable. So the only thing that gets set in stone is what level it's been placed at, because that's where it sits in the company structure, and then the fuel that you've selected. But your reference numbers, the areas served, the date ranges that they cover, so buildings or processes might cover certain subsets of your reference year. You can assign the energy data to different meters. Again, we've always got the edit option. Everything can be modified. And again, it's just as more people work in these things, and as I say, we do add the additional QA, which, you know, something could get flagged up. So it's very easy for you to make that change, even down as far as the lead assessor. If they go back, they've got more to do, or anything that needs to be added in, that can be done at this level. Energy saving measures, yeah, I've got one here. Can be edited, they can be removed. So even if something's been flagged up and then it's decided we're not going to go ahead with that one, or maybe there's a better opportunity elsewhere, these can actually be removed as well, so they won't appear on the final reports and they won't be deducted as a saving. But again, they can be edited easily. And the reports that we generate are dynamic. It's the benefit of having this system online is you don't have to wait for anyone to hit a switch or to push a change through. As soon as it's been updated on the system and QA'd, it will appear on the reports that we get out of it. The system was initially designed to make data collection a lot easier. We're giving you an organised framework to collect that reference year and add things as they were completed. So for different buildings, different parts of the organisation, different periods, it was easy to add that on as you went along. The point we're at now, we hopefully have all the data together. If not, it's being collected certainly all together. What the system is now letting us do is to work very quickly, work in a shared interface, add people into the team if you need that. And together, you know, you can still turn this around very quickly. So even with a limited time left, even with a short time towards the end of the year, it can be done very quickly, and you don't lose any of the QA, any of the checking, and you'll still get the report at the end. So that's some of the features that we think would be more appreciated now when things are getting a little strained. I'll pass you back over to Ed to wrap up, and then we'll do a Q&A if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Okay, right. Just to do a couple of quick roundups, and I'll whiz through these very quickly. Obviously, you know, I don't want to labour the point. ESOS Auditor is here to help you connect and manage your ESOS team and to comply quickly and easily. With regards to pricing, it's priced by individual organisations. So if you're a lead assessor, we do packages for yourself where you can have multiple companies and you can add companies very quickly and easily to that system, so you know you can scale up as required. And it's also priced per user that you have onto each of those companies, but you do get unlimited buildings that you can add on and email support with that. What we would do, there is actually a special offer package for lead assessors at the moment for 4 company licenses at £2,000. So information on that will be emailed out to everyone along with the recording of the webinar. And if you want to take us up on that, then you can obviously get in contact. I think that winds it up for us today. So to say thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, please just type those into the question box there. Okay, I'll just wait another couple of moments in case some of you are furiously typing away. Oh yeah, here we go. Have you got a completed report? Yes, Chris, there's actually an example one that we could email you. So let me just make a note of that, and I will drop you an email with that after the webinar.
I don't know if you've still got me logged in there.
Or I do still have you logged in,
browser.
actually. Yeah.
We can probably show the main aspects of the report. So
Yeah.
just this one here. So hopefully you can see this at the moment, but what we have on the report, it will give the organisation name. So the reports can be generated at each level. In this case, the access that I've got in this account is at the kind of office level. But what we would see would be the details of the organisation itself, the energy consumptions, the compliance deadline. Compliance deadline that's shown is actually the end of the reference period that you've selected. So it's not the 5th of December deadline as such. That text might need to be changed. It shows us what percentage, what progress has been made on the project based on what you've entered, what you've defined for your buildings. The energy savings potentials that you've identified through your audits and what cost saving that would give. You'll then have a list of the energy saving measures that you have marked for the project. So again, what you've entered in the system appears and it would be listed out, and you'd have the same columns for each one and then just the description of whatever details for each one. And then the sign off, it would show the director or senior manager that you've identified for your project. So you can have 2 of those. The names would be listed out here, and then you'd have your lead assessor details. The idea behind this, it's not submitted online. You'd actually print this off, so you'd PDF it or you'd print it out directly, get the sign-offs, and then I think you'd scan it and then upload it or send it off for your final completion. So the final sign-off doesn't get done on the system as such, but that's the report that you would get, and it wouldn't look any different for different projects. But yeah, we can send out a sample as well. That's not a problem.
Definitely, and I did see some other ones. Do you have fuel calculation tools as well?
Yeah, there is a DEFRA database that's been linked in. So the aspect of this that we're interested in is a consistent unit for the whole project. I'll come out of this one because the level I'm at here doesn't actually have access to it. This one should do, yeah. So it's one of the settings, it's one of our admin settings that we do at the start. And you'll see that the fuel types, well, on the preferences, we choose the unit that we want for our report. So in this case, it's a choice between joules or megawatt hours. In this case, I've chosen megawatt hours, and everything that you enter will then be translated to megawatt hours for the final reporting and for consistency on the progress reports and comparisons. But the DEFRA database is built in here, and you'll see that all the different fuels that you might enter have a conversion, so kilowatt hours equivalent. The only thing we don't have any conversion on, I don't know maybe if it's what you're interested in, would be on the transports. For transports, the ESOS compliance guide gives a conversion from how to get mileage or how to get gallons of petrol, for example, into a unit that you can use in your reports. That isn't built into our software at all. What we would expect is that your evidence upload for the transport costs that you put in would include that component as well. So hopefully that
hopefully
explains it a little bit.
I think that does. Thank you very much, Phil. And just quickly, are there any other questions from anyone else? Okay, right. There's no other questions that have come in. So if there is anything that you want to ask or go through in any detail, then please do just give us a call. Oh, hang on. Could you just touch on inputting transport? Yep.
Yep, sure.
No worries, Gavin.
So transports are a little bit simpler to input actually than what we've got on the buildings and the energy consumptions for buildings and processes, but it's the same kind of interface. So what we've got, supplies get associated through to buildings and processes. Transports are standalone, so transports are a direct input. So in its simplest form, if I add a transport, so you select what level in your project it would go in at, and then we have the type, so aviation, marine, fleet cars, company cars or rail. Again, the date range that it's going to cover. So the date range can be, if you've got a certain set of vehicles that you might have had, maybe you rented them for a month, or it covers a certain period, or the data available is only for a period within your reference year. You can set, a subset of the reference year from the from and to dates. And again, this is what I was talking about in terms of the simplicity of the input here. You would do the calculation out with the tool, and you're just entering directly your megawatt hours and your costs for whatever transport. Any supporting comments or anything for the rest of the team or the auditor to see, what this is based on, so if it's an estimate, if it's verifiable, if it's from a reading, and then eventually the evidence. So your evidence can be anything, and this is probably the part that you're interested in here, Gavin. The evidence might be a spreadsheet, it could be a zip file with all the different, screenshots or photographs or anything at all that you want, an image, a PDF. But this is the key part. This is what your lead assessor or your auditor will be looking for. Whatever's been associated here is evidence to back up the numbers that the system's showing us. And then they'll be listed out like this, and you could have different entries for different types. So that's a look at what we've got for the transport input.
Okay, so here's another question. How about, can you also tell us about registration, the series of questions at the end? Do you have a checklist of the answers? And how about HGVs? Do you mean, Chris, I'm just wondering, do you mean registration to the system or registration of of cars, of logging the ESOS report? Okay.
I don't know a lot about lodgement of your report. I'm not sure, where you take it once you've downloaded it from our system.
There's, I believe that the EA has an online portal, and there is actually guidance that they give on exactly everything that you need to upload when you lodge compliance. And one of the things would be the proof that your directors, it would be the information that's on the report that ESOS Auditor creates, and that needs to be signed off by the responsible directors. And so that is one of the things that you would need to lodge for compliance.
I think they have stated that they would accept a report from the ESOS Auditor tool as well. So if it comes off with the report format and the branding that we have, then they'll know it's come from our tool, which is something they've said before that they'll happily accept as a structure or a methodology. HGVs, Stephen, I think that would go under your fleet, so road or fleet. So when you're entering the transports, that would be the type that you'd put that under, I believe.
Okay, Chris, I'll send you a list to that guidance that I'd seen from the EA on lodgement for compliance.
We can maybe add that to our FAQs as well. We've got a help page on the tool that has some FAQs, so that might be one now that our deadline is approaching. Yeah,
and there's also there are emails, not emails. There are videos on the help page to help you get everything set up and talk you through everything. Is the documentation from the EA stating that they will accept this system? There is documentation saying that they will accept the system from with regards to they have reviewed this, by the way. We've given them a demo on the tool, and they've gone through and reviewed it themselves as well, and which is where them saying that they would accept a login as proof of the evidence pack if you were called for audit, where that came from. And with regards to the compliance report at the end, it was reviewed by Kit Young, who was the technical author for the actual standards around this. So with regards to it including the information it needs to include for compliance, we are certain that it does include that. I hope that answers your question, Elliot. Okay, great. Well, thank you ever so much for your time. As I said, we will follow up with a recording of the webinar and information on that special deal for lead assessors in the next couple of days. And, keep your eye out for the next session that we're running and the topic that's going to be on. And hopefully we'll all be in contact soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.